Oh, man.
Hey, Old Man on the Mat crew. This is Tony Jones coming at you with another great episode of Old Man on the Mat. Guys, as I always say, yes, I know you know what I'm going to say. I'm fired up every day. Every day, take a breath is a good day. And today's another good day, man. I'm telling you, life is great. Life is good. But before we get started, guys, I want to thank you guys for hitting our website at www.oldmanonthemat.com. That's oldmanonthemat.com. Merch is flying off the shelves. I'm loving it, guys. Appreciate all the good feedback and some of the bad feedback. I don't listen to those anyway, but the good feedback's great, man. And like I said before, we got rash guards coming out, or rash guards are out. They're being posted as we speak, and I'm excited for it, guys. But you know what I'm really excited for is our next guest. And we were just literally talking about some things that happened in his life, blew my mind a little bit. And I'm like, we got to save that for the podcast because I want to hear it all, and I know you guys too. But guys, this guy, he's a black belt in American Taekwondo. He's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's also a brown belt in Judo, which is one of my favorite arts out there. But guys, with that, I'm gonna give you the man, the myth, the living legend himself, Mike Earp. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me, brother.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. Listen, just listen to our couple little things we were saying. I'm telling you, you got me excited. I'm really excited to
That
hear
that's
your whole
awesome, man.
story.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, it's I've been blessed to train with a lot of different people, and it's one of those things where I really feel blessed, man.
That's awesome, man. That's good stuff, man. But you know what? I've been in martial arts since I was 8 years old. Been on the mat somewhere for the last, I keep telling everybody I'm still 39, but we know that's not true. But for the last 20 plus years. And you know what? Nothing beats the camaraderie of the combat sport. When you run into guys out there, it's like an instant link. You guys know each other. You can be friends forever. You can sit down, have a drink together, and just have a great time. You know, and that goes for the women too. So I met some great women out there in the combat sports and tactical things that just brings us closer, man. So have you found that out to be the same too?
Yeah, I think I've got some of my lifelong friends, even back 2008, 2005, that I'm still really good friends with. That I met them doing a boxing class, and it's like you said, we hit it off, and next thing you know, it was like a couple weeks of training, and you're beating the heck out of each other, and next thing you know, it's like, man, we should go get some wings, man, after class,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you end up doing that, and it's like then it's next thing you know, it's like, hey, let's go to the club together. We're gonna go to the casino together, and it's like
Yeah,
you form this bond with your peers and your training people that is like no other. They are literally like your brother and sister, and they've got your back. You don't have to
yeah,
say it. It's just
yeah.
they got it.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. Let's tell your story. Let's go to the beginning, man. What started you in martial arts, and from beginning to now, what got you started, man?
So it's a crazy story. So I was a freshman in high school, and basically, getting picked on a lot. And I was kind of telling my mom, I'm like, listen, I'm getting these fights in school, and she's like, "Oh, it's it'll pass, it'll get better." I'm like, "No, really, I've got to learn some type of a fighting art because I've got seniors wanting to fight me. Like,
Oh
I got some
man.
serious stuff going on here, and they're trying to, you know, basically, in the hallways, you're going face to face, and I'm like, Mom, something's gonna happen. Like, I've got to learn how to fight. Like, I need to take a boxing class. I gotta do some martial arts, like something." And basically, that's kind of what happened. Basically it was a this is an interesting story. So my mom, these kids were gonna like plan to like do like an after school fight, and I was like, fine, let's do it, let's get it over with. And at this time I
Oh
had
man.
no formal training. And so the night that I was supposed to go and fight after school, my mom decided to pick me up from school and shows up and like, hey, you got to go, your mom's here to pick you up. And I'm like, what's going on? This is weird. And so my mom shows up, got the dog with us, and she's like, yeah, we got to take the dog to the vet. And I'm like, oh my God, of all the days, we got to take the dog to the vet. I'm supposed to fight this kid after school, you know? And my mom was this person where if somebody says they're gonna fight you, she's like, "Well, go fight them, get it over with, like whatever,
Yeah,
and get
that's
the beef
awesome.
out of the
Your mom
way.
is
Let's."
awesome.
Yeah, she was like, "Let's get this beef out of the way and move on with your life." And I'm like, "Cool." So, we take the dog to the vet, and we're driving home, and my mom says, "What's all those kids at the gas station?" I said, "Well, I'm pretty sure those are the kids that want to fight me." And my mom just whipped in the parking lot. And she was like, then let's fight him. And I'm like,
What?
sure, yes, man. I'm like, okay, all right. I'm like, let's do it. So I'm 15 years old. It's a parking lot full of seniors, and there must have been, 30, 40 people there. And
Wow.
we get out, and my mom says, okay, which one of you punks want to fight my kid? And they're like, yeah, I'm not going to say the name. This kid wants to fight him. This kid wants to fight him. She goes, well, okay, we'll do it. So I end up squaring off with this kid. We exchanged some blows. He actually got on top of me. He was doing the class ring hit the back of the head thing.
Yep, yep.
I ended up somehow, by the grace of God, ended up on top, and in mount, and which we didn't know what that was back in the day, but I ended up in
Yep.
mount, and held him down, and then I was completely exhausted, and it was like my mom's like, okay, fine, or you guys are done, that's it. Well, then as soon as we got up, there was another guy that wanted to fight me, and my mom said,
Oh,
not, she said, not today. And then they weren't happy with that. So, and we had a German Shepherd with us. Well, the German Shepherd was, he was freaking out.
yeah. He wanted to
So
get
my
a piece
mom,
too.
yeah, he wanted some too. So my mom's like, all right, let's get in the Blazer. We're going home. So we go to get in the Blazer to leave. Well, all these kids are there. Man, they're still wanting to fight. And what basically ended up happening was one of the kids was trying to come in the door where my mom was getting in, and she
Oh,
had a little club in there in the console, and she like swung at him, and when she did,
oh,
it like hit the mirror of the Blazer, and the glass broke. Well, then they took off, and we go home. Well, we're home for like maybe 30 minutes, and the police show up.
oh, jeez.
And yeah, this is how crazy the police show up, and they're like, "Hey, we got a problem. You assaulted these kids down here." And my mom says, well, the first problem you got is you got some 17 and 18, some 19-year-old kids. My son's 15, and they had an altercation at the end of the street down here. And he goes, "Wait a second, your son's 15?" She goes, "Yeah. So press all the charges you want to, So anyway, so that that leaves at that spot. So then we get home, and that night, and she said, you're right, you do need formal training. You need to learn how to
yeah.
defend yourself properly. She said, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So the very next week, we drove to St. Peter's. We lived in Winfield, Missouri. We drove to St. Peter's, which was about an hour away, give or take. And we were driving around, and we found a World Taekwondo Federation school. And
Mm.
she said, well, if you want to go train, she said, you got to go in there and talk to him. And I was like, this is real. So yeah, I walked in there and met one of the instructors, and he said, yeah, he said, here's the price. It's like $80 a month. He said, where's your mom and dad at or whatever? How'd you get here? I'm like, oh, they're out in the car. And he goes, well, have them come in and we'll talk to Grandmaster Young Chil Ro, and
Mm.
we'll give you the prices, and set up like a free 2 week thing or whatever. And I'm like, well, this is awesome. So I remember, my mom and they walk in there, and at this time I didn't realize how awesome it was, but Grandmaster Young Shiro was a ninth degree black belt in like
Mm.
1990 or 80, 88 or 89, whatever this year was.
Yeah.
And
Hardcore time.
hardcore Korean, ninth degree
Yeah.
black belt. And it was so funny because he says to me, he said, okay, so why are you here? And I said, I tell him the story. I'm just here to, learn self-defense. He said, pull my hair, grab a hold of me and pull my hair. And I'm looking at him like,
What?
I'm not trying to pull your hair. Like, like there's no way. So, and I look at my mom, and she's like, well, pull his hair. I don't know. Like, So, so I go over and I like grab his hair and I go to pull him. He does like this weird arm entanglement and like takes me to the ground. And I'm like, oh my God, I knew that something like this was going to happen. And, and it was so cool. He said, what I teach you, no one will pick on you ever again. And
Wow.
I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, I'm like thinking this is like Chuck Norris, like this is
Right,
amazing.
right.
And so we signed up. I trained for a year at 15 years old. I trained for a year, and I got my blue belt from Master Young Chil Ro. Got my blue belt from there, and then I kind of faded out. I didn't really train at a gym for quite some time. It was probably
Yeah.
a good decade. Probably trained or didn't train for a while. Just worked out with friends, and I had a friend. that was he was a boxer, a Golden Glove boxer, and then he also was in the Junior Olympics for boxing. So
Oh,
I
wow.
trained with him. Yeah, he trained me like in the basement. We'd hook up and we'd train. And I remember the first time because I thought, man, I know Taekwondo. Like I got some fighting skills. And we put on the boxing gloves and the headgear, and he hit me one time in the head, and he weighed about 220 in high school. And
Oh,
he hit
man.
me one time in the head, and I saw stars, and I go, whoa, whoa, wait a second. I said, I'm not used to this. I was like, I thought we're gonna like spar around. He goes,
Right?
we are sparring. He goes, man, he goes, I gotta teach you how to box. And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Like, that's
Right?
awesome. So of course, then I got, my buddy teaching me how to do some boxing and stuff. And then it went, it kind of went from there. And um, yeah, it's just like I said, that's really what started. It was like the typical thing where you're getting
Yeah.
picked on. And I tell you, there's another funny story about this that um so one day we were in the gym and there was a kid that was like picking on my other friend. So of course, I'm looking out for my buddy, and there was a new kid that came in, and he was like starting trouble with my friend. And I said, hey man, I said, if you're looking for a fight, you fight me. Leave him alone. Like
Oh,
he's half
man.
your size. And he was like, okay, fine. He's like, we'll go out there to the gym and we'll do it. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm like, but you're gonna leave him alone. My buddy's alone. Like he's
Right.
not. If you want to fight, I'll fight you. So anyway,
Yeah.
so we go out to the gym. We go out to the gym, and I'm like in a sparring stance, ready to fight this kid. And the coach, one of the coaches from the school, he came up behind me, and I didn't know it was him. And he grabbed my right hand and tried pulling me. Well, I didn't know it was him. And I did like this, like spin around, like lockdown move, and I flipped the gym coach on his back.
Oh.
And yes, yes, man. And the whole gymnasium saw this happen. And I'm here to tell you, after that took place, I was never picked on ever again
You were
because
never
I
picked on again. You were the
never
man.
picked on again. Nobody wanted to mess with it. They were like, I don't know what he learned, but that was nuts. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, man, the
like
coach didn't grab you right away. It's like, "Hey, we need you on a wrestling team."
Yeah, well, so we at our school we didn't have wrestling. We didn't have
Oh,
any kind of
man.
sports like that. And man, if we would have, I mean, it would have been perfect. We didn't have that kind of stuff. But
Wow.
and I looked at the gym coach. I said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I thought somebody was coming up behind me to like take me out with like I'm trying to like protect my buddy over here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You can't make this stuff up."
Right?
Like
Just like in the movies, man.
it was, man. I'm serious. And my buddy always said, he goes, man, he's like, I'll never forget that. He's like, you got this new kid coming in, he's trying to prove himself, and he's like, you had my back, and he's like, we've been best friends for 35 years, but at
Wow,
that
that's
point,
good stuff,
yeah,
man.
we stayed friends and stuff, and it's like, but when those kind of things happen, it's real, and like
Yeah,
what you've been shown, that's a natural instinct of somebody grabbing a hold of you and you're just
exactly.
defending yourself at that point. And like I said, I,
Exactly.
I told the gym coach, I was like, man, I am so sorry. I was like,
He didn't try
I'm
to send
like,
you down to the principals?
yeah. I mean, it was a big deal. And I told him, I'm like, man, this guy is trying to fight me. And you came up from behind and grabbed me. I'm like, what did you expect? You know what I mean? It was like, it's like,
That's perfect. That's perfect. But you know what? And I'm not saying things have changed from back then to now, but
yeah.
back in those days, it was you trained for self defense. There were tournaments to go to, but
Oh,
nowhere like
yeah.
it is today. You know what I mean?
Yes.
My
Yes.
gosh. Because back then, man, I was doing the same thing. We were fighting. We had weekend tournaments, but they were between the same schools, basically. Southside
Yeah. Oh,
Chicago,
yeah. Oh,
everybody's
yeah.
still the same schools. But man, you fought to stay alive, man.
I'm telling you, man. And well, and it's just, and I feel like a lot of training martial arts, it's not just about really having to fight someone. It's more about being able to de-escalate it and having the
There you go.
confidence
There
to
you go.
look at someone and de-escalate it, or with the proper like eye contact or body language, and so someone's like, hey, I probably need to find an easier target, per
Right.
se.
Right.
and
Right.
and I think,
Exactly.
it's like, because really, no one, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't want to be fighting people. You don't want to be getting into those altercations.
No.
But like I
No.
said, back 30 years ago, man, that's longer than that. That's what you did in high
Yeah.
school and grade school. It's
Yeah.
like you met up, and it was like, if you didn't go meet up and fight now, you're gonna fight later, and it's not gonna get any
Exactly.
better.
Exactly. See, back then we didn't have all the guns and stuff. And hey, trust me, I'm all for guns. But the
Me
kids
too.
back then, we fight and it was over. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And
and that's the thing. That's exactly it. Like, you would
yeah.
go, and I remember I had a neighbor, and like he got into it with like another kid, and then like they fought after school, and after they fought, like that was the end of it. Like it
Yeah.
never even like there was never no talk of it. There was
Nope.
nobody all this gun violence like you're saying. There was none
Yep.
of these threats. There was none of this stuff going on. They duked it out. One guy got a black eye. One guy was just had a sore rib, and it was like
Yep.
they were hanging out like at the next
That's how
party.
we did it back then, man. That's how
You
it
know what I'm
was, you know?
saying?
It was
Yeah,
like
it's like,
life was too short, man. We just hung out and had a great time, man.
yeah,
But
it's like,
you
you know,
know
and I remember, I don't know, it's just those types of things, and it's like for me, I was always lucky enough to like the guys that could really fight and they're really
Yeah.
skilled. Like I said, my buddy who was in Junior Olympics, it's like luckily like I was friends with him, and like
Yeah.
I always valued people that are better than me, and
Oh,
that's one of the
absolutely.
things that I always try to find. I always try to surround myself with people that are better than I am so I can get better, you know?
Exactly. That's all we
Yeah.
can, man. It was about getting beat up a lot, that's okay. You
Oh
know
my
what I
god, yeah.
mean?
I did 10th Planet for lunch, and I got beat up today,
Yeah,
man.
right?
I
How'd my
did, man.
foot
I
get
got
over
beat up for
here?
lunch. Like, hey, what'd you have for lunch? I got beat up, man.
I got beat up. Would you like some? I would not.
Exactly, man.
But that goes to show that what we were saying earlier about the community of martial arts, man. True martial arts, and I just think you don't have to be the best out there, but you're in the game. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Well, and that's what like you said. That's what's so fun about it. Like the different types of martial arts, and it's like it's a different type of a thing when you're getting punched
Yeah.
in the face versus doing some grappling. And
Oh, absolutely.
I've been blessed to train with my good friends Mike Morgan, doing jiu-jitsu with him, and
Yeah.
man, he's taught me so much. And it's he's also a lifetime friend now because of it.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
hang out with him. We hang out. We chill out. We train together. And man, he when I hang out with him, I know I'm getting beat up, and that's fine.
That's okay. That's
That's
okay.
okay. But
What do you
he's
say?
he's teaching me.
That's right. What do you say? Iron sharpens irons, man.
Oh
There
my
you go,
God, yeah.
man.
And he's some heavy duty iron. Let's put it that way.
There you go. Can you break out some aluminum foil, please?
Oh yeah,
Sir?
that's the thing. I'm like, man, it's always funny. And it's interesting because he has overcome some serious life obstacles and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like when I always think about training, he was the one that always told me. He goes, Mike, man, just keep showing up, no matter
There you
what. Just
go.
keep showing up.
There
And
you go.
that's what I tell myself. It's like today, I'm like, just show up. If I
Yeah.
show up, that's 99.9% of the battle.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, man. Because I know driving into class most days, I train 3, 4 days a week, and with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, and I try to lift 2 or 3 days a week. But every time, and I don't think I've run across a time yet that I said, "Man, I'm so excited to go."
Right.
When I
Yeah,
get
it's
there, then
tough.
I'm excited.
It's tough to get going, but yeah, once you
Yes.
get there and you see your training partners, you see your friends, and you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" And it's so funny because it's like I'm never 100% healthy. You always got
Oh
something
yeah.
going on. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
funny because you get ready to like work out, you're like, "Hey man, my left shoulder's jacked up, my ankle's
Yeah.
swollen." Like you're like,
But the
"Yeah,
cool
my
thing about it, your buddies, like my buddies, same way. They still beat you up, but they don't touch those injured areas. You know.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how. Yeah. I'm like, when I go with John or Mike, I'm like, I don't know how you submitted me like with a choke, but you never touched my upper body, but you like
Right.
somehow got the choke locked in. I'm like,
How
how's
in
that
the
even
heck?
possible?
Right? Oh man, and you hit the nail around the head, man. It's always an injury, and I look as if we've been in martial arts as long as we've been, there's gonna be injuries. It's just how we
Yep.
move through them. And I know this weekend I was helping a friend do some stuff, and my left hand is jacked, both my shoulders are jacked up, and I got my right good hand, and I
Hmm.
spun around and hit her dryer. I was
Oh,
doing something, and it right between the bones on my hand. I said, "That's all I need. Now I got no good hands to fight with."
exactly. Yeah.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, man. So now, do you train differently, meaning that
I
to
do. I
modify for your
do.
injuries and stuff?
I do. So I have I got my ACL blown out in 2002 doing
Oh,
Taekwondo, and it's interesting
wow.
because so what happened, I was it's one of those deals where you're sparring around with some guys. Well, there was a coach that had not coached our class, and the owner was gone. He was like on vacation or whatever.
Yeah.
And basically, what he did is he was like, "Okay, you guys are free flow sparring. It's Taekwondo, and there's no takedowns in Taekwondo."
Right.
And he says, "Okay, now if you can take your partner down, go ahead." And I was
What?
like, "What did he say?" So this there and of course I'm paired up with a new guy in the
Oh,
Taekwondo
wow.
class. I mean, I'm a black belt at this time. Like I know how
Yeah.
to, I know pretty much the Taekwondo. I know how everything goes. And I'm thinking takedowns. Well, this guy rushes in, and
Oh,
I know now that he was trying to do an osotogari on me. Well, I tied
oh,
up with him thinking he's not going to take me down. I lock onto his uniform, his gi,
yeah.
and man, he drew back and checked. Well, of course, my left knee was twisted at a weird
Oh,
angle. And dude, I'm
yeah.
telling you, it sounded like a 22 going off in the gym. It just snapped.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I dropped straight to the ground. I was completely in shock. And I'm
Wow.
like, what just happened? You know what I mean? And
Holy cow.
I'm thinking, man, this guy's trying to kill me. If we're
Yeah.
doing free flow sparring, like, where did this come into play?
Wow.
You know
That's
what I
that
mean?
newbie guy, though. They don't know any different. They're like,
Yeah.
take him down. I'm going to take him down, you know? Oh,
Yeah,
my
yeah, and
gosh.
and and so what I learned, kind of going back to what your original question was, is that I try to be mindful of my training partners. So, I'm
Yeah.
51. So if I see someone who's 25, they're pretty juiced up pretty hard, they're,
Yeah.
pretty athletic. I make sure that they understand, like, hey, we're not going live, we're just drilling. Because a lot of the
Right.
new guys, man, you're just drilling and they're going 110%. They're going
Yeah.
for the $1 million in the suitcase. I'm like, listen, we're not going
Exactly.
live.
Because they don't
You
know
know
any
what I'm
better.
saying?
They're just like, let's go. It's like,
Yeah,
jeez Louise.
they're like trying to touch hands and bump knucks. I'm like, we're drilling.
Right. Calm
We're
down,
not.
bro. Calm down.
Yeah,
What's going
calm down. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what supplements that you're on, but like,
on?
you don't
But can
need
I
those for this class.
and can I have some of them? You know?
Yeah, I'm like, give me some of your sweat. Drip some sweat right here,
Yeah,
man.
right, there you go. Exactly, man.
you
But,
know?
there's always some of those guys, man, and it's but, I pride myself because 'cause I'm the, oldest guy in our class and, the classes I go to, and I feel really good being able to, at least keep up with the young guys.
Well, and like I said, I feel like that what I try to do is I try to stretch out before the class starts. I try to
Oh,
get
that's
my
gonna be my
mind
next
right.
question. Yeah, do you
Yeah,
stretch?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I stretch out every morning. I've got a routine that I do before I even leave the house, and it's like my body is getting ready to exit the house. So it's like we
Okay.
talk about, when you leave the house, you're leaving your sanctuary, you're leaving your safe zone.
Right,
And
right.
when you leave the house, you got to be ready for whatever's gonna happen out there in the world. So before I leave the house, I get my mind right. I stretch out. I kind of do like a yoga flow that I go through,
Oh,
and
cool.
and get myself ready to go for the day and get myself pumped up. And I'm also like, I listen to Joel Osteen a lot. I listen to
Oh, yeah,
him
yeah.
every morning, and when I'm stretching out, I listen to him while I'm stretching out and getting ready for the day,
There you
and
go.
it makes a huge difference. And I do the
Yeah.
same thing, like I said, before I go to work out in Jiu-Jitsu or Judo, whatever. I kind of warm myself up, do a little yoga flow, do some, like, some little kicks and different things like that, and just get myself ready to go. I mean, just
That's
that type
smart,
of
man.
stuff. Yeah, I
That's
mean,
smart. You have to, man. You have to. I do basically the same thing. I get my Bible study in the morning, and while I'm listening to it, I'm doing stretches that before I even get out of bed. I
yeah,
have to, man. Get these hips moving, man. I'm with you,
yeah.
brother.
And it's weird. It's like if I don't do that, the day's completely different. My back's really
Yeah,
sore, or more
yeah,
sore than it always is.
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
or I'm limping some way, and it's funny because someone will say, "Man, what did you do? You're kind of limping." I'm like, "Well, it's just it's just part of it." I'm
That's
like,
a part of life. What do you mean?
"Yeah." I'm like, doesn't everybody have a limp?
Right,
Doesn't isn't one shoulder like lower than the other one? I'm like,
right.
have
But
you not
it's
have
crazy,
you not been Americana lately? You don't haven't been
right?
Kimura?
This
Like, what's
week.
going on?
Oh man, but
you
some people
know?
think we're crazy at our age is still doing this stuff, but it's so many guys out there. That's why, when I was starting this podcast, it was going to start just as a journal,
Yeah.
journal my process and stuff. But I start meeting a lot of guys like yourself in the same age bracket. And it's like, man, these guys are still out there banging. You know what? I don't
Yeah.
have any right to sit on the couch. They're going to have the same injury, so I'm going to hurt
Well,
anyway. So might as well
and
get out there and play around.
and I'll tell you, I feel like, me personally, that when I train in martial arts, it allows me to do other things like recreational activities, like
Yeah,
boating, or
yeah,
motorcycle riding, all anything you want to do, hiking, or whatever you're gonna do, it just makes it easier because I feel like that martial arts is, mind, body, and spirit, and it's like
Yes.
your mind, whether you can or you can't. And the way I see it is that you're right, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
you tell yourself, like you said, like we show up for class. It's like, listen, all we got to do is show up. The rest is gonna happen automatically. And I always
Absolutely.
quote my buddy Mike Morgan. He's like, listen, dude, you're gonna get better by default. you
Yes.
know
I love that, man.
yeah, yeah. He's like, you're gonna get
That's
better by
awesome.
default. So anytime, like when John and I or whoever we're teaching a class, like judo or whatever, and I always tell people, I'm like, listen, I know it's hard to get here. I get it. It was hard for
Yeah.
me to get here. But if
Yeah.
you just show up, you're gonna get better by default. And I say, listen, Mike Morgan, he's the guy that told me that, and he said, just keep showing up. So I send that same message to the younger guys or the guys that are even like, we have a guy that's like 65 in our class,
Oh,
and
nice,
yeah, that
man.
does judo. And
Oh,
and
man.
it's I know, and so it's like when he keeps showing up, how can I not show up? I'm like, he's
Exactly.
65. I'm like, and him and I always joke around, and he'll be like, yeah, man. He's like, I got to get as you someday, and I go, listen, I want to be on the mat when I'm 65. Like
Exactly.
that's what's up, dude. Like that's where it's
Right?
at.
That is
You know?
true, man. That's cool to see someone that. But doing the martial arts, we're seeing that more and more. And I think it's, with the I won't even call it a fad, but the craze of,
Yep.
being eating better, being in shape, working out, doing those things, and all these studies coming out more, the more active you are, the more weights you lift, the younger you're gonna feel.
Yep.
And man, I had a guy on here. I forget which guy it was. And I think the guy is 55. And he's 55. But like when everyone sends a picture over so I can promote the podcast. This guy
Yeah.
sends a picture over. I'm thinking he sent the wrong piece, sent a picture of his kid. you know,
Wow.
and it's
No
him.
kidding.
I was like, I had to check back again. I sent a message. I was like, no, I need a picture of you. He said, that is me. I'm
You're
like,
like,
not when
that
you were
is me. You're
12.
like, check this out.
Man, and that
Well,
motivated me.
and I think too, like, whenever if I know I'm gonna train, like if I know I'm gonna train on Monday, that I know on Sunday I eat better.
There you
I'm not
go.
eating greasy food. I'm not drinking a bunch of beers or
Yeah.
whatever. It's like, man, I'm already getting my mind and the focus of, okay, so no matter what, you're gonna do a lunchtime roll or you're gonna train
Yeah.
on Monday night. It's like I automatically start taking better care of myself and
That is
eating
smart,
correctly.
man. That is so
And
smart.
because it's so weird because myself, if I eat greasy food, man, I'm telling you, like there's been some times where I was starving and I thought, okay, I'm fine. I'm just gonna eat like a chicken breast real quick and I'm gonna or drink some protein and I'm gonna
Yeah.
run to the gym. Well, then next thing I know, I got John on top of me. And I'm like, dude, I can't even breathe. I'm about to like throw this stuff up. Like, and he starts
Right?
laughing. He's like, you all right, boss? And I'm like, listen, man, I was like, I shouldn't have eaten that food. Like, I can train standing up, but you cannot lay on my stomach right now.
I
And
feel you,
it's
man.
so funny, man. And it's like a lot of
Oh,
times,
man.
yeah, a lot of times I come home and my wife's like, I made dinner, and I'm like, babe, it's Tuesday night, it's judo, and she's like, you're really gonna go to judo tonight? I said, it's Tuesday, isn't it?
Gotta go.
And she's
Gotta
like, I'm
go.
like, I'm like, man, I'm like, I gotta hit it. And she's like, but I made your dinner. I'm like, listen, I cannot eat before I train. I'm like, you know
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
We always it's
Yeah.
a running joke. She's like, I just can't believe you're gonna go work out and not eat. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, I physically can't do it. Like, it's not even
Yeah.
possible. Like, I couldn't even do it if I wanted to.
You'll be
Like, I
firing
just
off
feel like
rounds
crap.
and everything else.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You know what I found out? Because I try to do the same thing, like in the morning, like before I leave, because my class is like 45 minutes to an hour away from me. So I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
I can drink two big protein shakes and all this to be ready to train. And same thing with you. I couldn't do it. So what I've changed, and I'm doing about 3 months now, one fried egg in the morning. That
Okay.
was it. And that, I'm telling you, I have more energy. Just for me personally, I have
Yeah.
more energy. I don't feel full. So when they're laying on my gut, I don't feel it. I don't think about it, but
Right.
I still can move. So I've been doing it for like 3 months, and it's worked great for me. So everybody else may need more, but if that's a nugget for anybody out there, try that one egg in the morning, man.
I'm gonna try that. One of the
Yeah.
things I've been doing for a few years, actually for about, man, it's been probably 5 or 6 years now,
Yeah.
is my wife bought a ninja blender, and I get some fruit that's like frozen fruit, and then I get
Yeah.
like some juice, and I'll do like smoothies in the morning, and that's what I've been drinking for breakfast for like 6, 7 years or whatever it's been now.
That's awesome.
And
Okay.
yeah, man, and it makes a huge difference. And it's like I'll take some carrots, I'll throw some banana, And it's like the mixture of like the medley fruit. So it'll be like
Yeah.
papaya, mango, strawberry. I put blueberries and stuff in there before, and I'm telling you, it's like a Dairy Queen shake, man. I mean, it
And
does
it
not
hits you
taste.
right though.
Yeah, it hits you right, and it's like, and it gives you like, I mean, it doesn't last long. So like by lunchtime, you're
Yeah.
definitely hungry. I mean, you're
Well,
ready
yeah.
definitely to
Oh
get
yeah.
some good food. But
Oh
man, I
yeah.
tell you what, it's so nice to do that of a morning, and I feel like my energy levels are great, and I'm
Oh, that's
not,
cool.
so
Now,
yeah, I
do you take
typically.
supplements and stuff too, or
Yeah, I do. So I do TRT,
okay?
so which is nice. So got to get those levels back up to where they should be. So I don't go
Yeah.
anything crazy above, but I do TRT, and then I always do like a branch chain. And
Okay.
sometimes I'll do a little bit of creatine. I kind of bring it in, bring it out.
Okay.
And then one thing that I found recently that's really helped me out a lot in the past like year is after I work out, I definitely drink some protein.
Okay.
And
Yep. Yep.
I really did. It's weird. I was one of those guys where I would always hated drinking protein. It made me kind of bloated. And
Yeah.
then one of the supplement stores started carrying a protein that was you just mix with like 6 ounces of water,
Okay.
and it gave you like 22 grams of protein. And I got to tell you, there's
Oof.
also like some branch chains in there too, and that has made a world of difference on my recovery, man.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's made a
Okay.
huge,
Protein.
huge
Got it.
difference. Yeah, and I
I'm
drink
gonna
a lot
try
of
that.
water too. That's the other thing. That's one of the best things. And one of my old instructors, Ram, and I, we would train hard. And he's like, we trained for 2 hours. We're done, boxing, kickboxing, knife and stick class, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen, when you go home, he goes, drink water on your way home and drink as much as you possibly can and get a good night's rest. And I'm like, well, that all sounds great. Well, when I first started doing that, it was hard to drink water. And then I found for me personally
Yeah.
that if I, had, cold bottled water, that man, I would just down it. And
Okay.
so to me, like, rehydrating yourself is like so crucial. Drinking some protein, having the branch chains, it was a game changer for me.
That's cool. Because there's a lady on here on Jennifer S. She's a nutritionist and
Hmm.
high level personal trainer for these crazy fighters and stuff like that. And what she
Hmm.
does the same thing. She's talking about hydration, but what she talks about is adding sea salt to your water because
Oh
that
wow.
hydrates your
Okay.
body. Your body's craving those nutrients and the hydration. And I was like, oh, I'll try that. And I really do. I've been doing that for about a year. And that's how I
Oh wow.
hydrate.
I
I
need to
put
try that.
water, drink that. That's what everyone said. But do your own research on these things. I'm not a
Oh, for
nutritionist or
sure.
anything, but I listen to other guys. But
But
because she
yeah,
was saying
that's
because the water is just water and it's flowing through, but your body needs those certain electrolytes that comes from sea salt. I'm like, oh,
That's
okay.
interesting. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, the branch chain amino acids, like man, that's
Yeah.
I can tell like if I run out of those and I don't
Yeah.
take those, because what I'll usually do is I'll drink them before I'll do like a mix up a little something. I'll drink it before I train or during when I'm training. I'll just sip on them
Okay.
instead of water, or when I get done, I'll just like finish them off. So, kind of depending on
Oh,
like
yeah,
how
yeah,
full
yeah.
I am at the time, I still get them in my body, and I definitely have felt a big difference, especially in jujitsu. Now, if you're
Yeah.
doing striking like Muay Thai or something,
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's as noticeable. But man, when you got that fatigue, that burnout, you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
push someone off
Yeah.
you. You're trying to,
Yeah.
you're rolling, trying to sweep someone, or you're trying to pick somebody up in judo or something, or you're throwing them.
Yeah. You need
Like,
all that.
man, it's a completely different type of workout, as you
Oh
know. I
yeah. Oh,
mean,
absolutely. You're not lifting your body only. You're lifting your muscles and someone else's. So you need all
yeah,
that. I like that. That's good. I'm gonna try some of that stuff because I know doing training. We right before after we do all our drills and we're gonna get start to roll. I'll take a sip of water, and
yep.
then I know I still get. I don't drink enough doing training. I think I need to add that to mine. Thanks for that nugget. I'm gonna add for more.
Yeah,
You know.
and that's something that I've always done. I've, like, because we'll do like little drink breaks every
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes, whatever. But I definitely like sometimes if everybody's gonna roll hard, I'll take off every other round just so because, you know, I feel like that if when you put yourself like when you burn out yourself,
Yes.
that
Yes.
when you're so exhausted, you're not really you. Like so if you're
Yeah.
kind of training bad habits. And I feel like that a lot of times people will take the same scenario and striking, but they won't apply it to grappling, like how you would train. Or like so, if you're striking and you're getting sloppy, well, take a break for a second. Like, don't just
Ah.
keep doing
Yeah.
the sloppy technique. But then when it comes to grappling, I feel like people just get lazy and go, "Well, I'm just gonna like try to lay here, or I'm just gonna try to
Yes.
do
Yeah.
whatever." And it's like
Yeah.
take a round off. regroup yourself, get a drink of water, drink some, drink whatever you want to drink, whatever you're going to do,
Yeah.
and give yourself a break, get your breath back so you can be more like you, because you're not really, for me, if I try rolling, 3 or 4 rolls back to back for 5-minute rounds, after
Yeah.
the second 5-minute deal, I'm going to be
Oh, you're
like, man, I'm not
fried.
even myself right now. Like,
Right, you're
you know what
fried,
I'm saying? I'm
man.
like
I get
dying.
it. I get
And
it, man.
because I do that a lot of times. Like my like with John and my buddy Mike Morgan too. Like, let's tap me to pressure, and I'm like crap, and they're like, okay, let's go again. I'm like, I need a minute, dude.
I need a minute.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I'm like, I'm
Exactly.
like, I'm like, you were on top, you were murdering me. I'm
The
like,
whole time.
I gotta have a minute just to regroup. I'm like, I'm gonna need a drink
Right?
of water. I need to wipe my face off. I'm like,
Right?
I'm
I love
like,
when they think, well, because you're on the bottom, you're just resting. No, I'm fighting for
yeah.
my life.
Exactly, man. I'm like, I'm in dying down here, man. Like, but
I
it's
know,
so
man.
cool, and that's what's so awesome about it. That's like some of my best friends are the ones that I trust with my own life, because
Yeah.
they're the
Yeah.
ones crushing me, or they're tapping me, and it's like I said, you just learn to get beat up. You learn
Yeah.
what to withstand, and I feel like that transfers over so much into your daily life, because it's interesting. And there was a Navy SEAL that I had met at one of our sales conferences for my job,
Mm. Mm.
and it was so ironic because I'm in the elevator. This guy gets on the elevator, and he just had something about him. And I kept staring at him, and I'm like, man, what is the deal with this guy? Well, I looked down, and he was a double amputee from the knees on down. And I
Wow.
thought, okay, that's why I'm looking at this guy. And he is kind of like, it's kind of resonating here. Like, got this energy. And I'm like, okay, that's what it is. Well, I go to get off at the floor where our seminar was at for work. He gets off with me, and I'm like,
Mm.
okay, this is odd. This guy does not work for our company.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there, and they go, hey, we have a guest speaker that's going to be coming up today. And the guest speaker is a guy that I see in the elevator, and
Oh,
He's a
wow.
Navy SEAL, dude. And
Holy cow.
the takeaway from this, that I for my own self. So he was talking about, when they all hold the log, and they have
Yes.
to, like,
Yes.
nobody's got to give up. He
Yep.
said that the pain was so excruciating and so crazy. He said that I had to tell, and he was like the leader of his platoon, and he said, I had to find just one reason to take a step. It wasn't
Wow.
about doing anything else. I just had to find one reason to take a step, one way to dig down deep enough to take a step. Because he goes, I knew that if I drop this log, if I let my end go, the whole platoon is down. That's it.
Wow.
And
Oh
this,
my gosh.
so yeah, so in thinking about that, and just taking the next step, like I say, like show up to class, or
Yeah.
making that next move. And the craziest thing was, how this guy got injured. They were taking over like a mountain in Afghanistan, and he was one of the guys that found one of, like, the mortars in the ground, or
Yeah.
whatever they're called. He found it, and they're kind of like disclosed their location, and they
Hmm.
basically, he was telling the story, and they drug him back down with no legs. This dude survived, and
Oh
they
my
had to drag
gosh.
him back down the mountain and get him out of there. And
Holy cow.
so, yeah, so when you think about this, and we think about our training, and we think about what we endure through, and what we push through, it's like, it makes our I apply it to everyday life. It's like I was saying before, like when you think about something being hard, it's like, is it
Yeah.
really hard, or is it just seem hard? Is it just we think it's hard,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Holy
we just
cow.
have to find another reason to take a step, to,
Yes.
to make that move. And sometimes it's a simple movement. It's not a big movement. It's just like he said, I just got to find a reason to take a step.
Oh
And
man.
sometimes, like, ever since that seminar, or that we had for our sales summit, it's like I think about that before I walk in to make a sales call, or before I walk
Yes.
into a doctor's office. I go, all you got to do is start making one step, and then find a
Yeah.
reason to take another step and another step. And I feel like it transfers over into our training. It's like we just got to find that reason to walk into the gym, and we walk into the gym, and it's like, hey, everything's awesome now. Like, here's your buddy.
Yeah.
We're all hurting. We're all beat up. Like,
Yeah. I like it, man.
you know.
That's pretty cool, man. Just take another step, one step.
100%. And it was so crazy, because I knew this is what I lost my train of thought. But this guy, when he was in the elevator, he had this aura about him,
Mhm.
and it was and I knew it was something big, but I couldn't just place it because I'm like, wait a second, it's the it's the legs. Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what's messing me up. And then whenever he got up there and he said he was a Navy SEAL, I'm like, that's what I felt in the
That's what you
elevator. It was
felt in
his
the elevator.
presence, man. The
Yeah.
he's on another level. You know what
Oh,
I mean? Like,
absolutely.
and the
Absolutely.
craziest thing about this guy, he went on to do like the Paralympics, and won all these gold medals, like
Wow.
crazy. So, like I said, I mean, being in adverse things and getting stuff put at you, or
Yeah.
whatever goes on, it's like they're just finding a reason to take another step. Like we're talking about, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
And think
It's
about
just,
stuff he's
to
going.
me,
He's
like, I'll
went.
never forget that sales summit.
That's awesome, man. God put you in the right place at the right time for that, man. Just think about
hundred
it, man.
percent.
I complain sometimes not wanting to get up in the morning just to go train, and this guy has his legs gone and still out there just defeating life all day long. Woo!
Killing it. I cannot
I got
remember. I
goosebumps,
cannot
brother.
remember. Yeah, it was like, I cannot remember how many different gold medals that he got in different types of Olympics. Like, it was unbelievable. And I'm sitting there looking at other people, and I'm like, man, do you know how serious this is? Like, this guy. I even went up to him and I had to shake his hand. I said, man, I saw you in the elevator, and I said, I didn't know what it was about you that was really just like awesome. I mean, and I
Yeah.
couldn't put my finger on it. I said, but when I saw you get on stage and you were telling your story, I go, that's what it was. That was the sixth sense. Like
Yeah.
I knew there was more to this guy. Like, I knew there was something big about him. And he
Wow.
was like, he just stood there and he goes, you're welcome, man. It was like,
He's
he's
like, I'm
like,
just
that's
living my
that's
life.
why I'm here. And I'm like, man, I go, man, can I get a selfie with you? I was like, this is the most awesome moment, man. And
That
he
is
was like, yeah, and
cool.
it was really cool because when life is hard, when things are tough, he
Yeah.
was like telling his story, and it's like, when, like, with our jobs, it's never easy, and it was like, just listen to what he went through, and he's done all these things and got these gold medals after all this has happened to him. It's like,
Yeah.
it's just amazing, man. And I was so motivated by it, and I feel like the entire room was just lifted up, man. it was
Oh
it
yeah.
was one of the it was one of the most awesome things I've ever experienced. I mean, it just
Man.
really was.
Man, he came for just you. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
got the nugget from that guy, man.
I
I don't know how many other guys got it, but you got the nugget what he was doing.
Man,
That's awesome.
I couldn't agree more. I literally was like thanking God. I'm like, this was the most amazing thing. And I said to my wife, I'm like, it's so crazy. I just had so much respect for the guy.
Yeah.
And like I said, his presence was just, I don't know, man. It's just, you kind of know when you, like, it's weird. I don't know like, we've been to a couple UFC fights, and we've been on the elevators with some of the
Yeah.
UFC fighters, and man, they're just larger than life, man.
Oh yeah. Oh
It's
yeah.
like, I remember standing next to Donald Cerrone, and I was
Oh
like,
man.
"Man, can I get your autograph?" Can I get a selfie with you, man? And it's like,
Oh
I mean,
man.
and I'm 5'9", man, on a good day, with the
Right.
tennis shoes on, the Nike Air raised up, and
Right there
it's
you go.
like, you know what I'm saying? And
Oh man.
I'm looking up at Donald Cerrone, and I'm like, holy smokes, this is a
Wow.
big dude. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
I'm like, can you sign this UFC glove for me, pretty please?
Yeah, pretty please.
Yeah, I'm like, can you sign this for me, man? Can I get a selfie with you guys?
Oh, that is awesome, man. But these
Yeah,
guys are
man.
bigger than life, man. They really are, man. But you know what? I'm impressed that you got the nugget from this stuff, man. Because a lot of guys,
Oh my
it may have just
gosh.
gone over their head and been impressed by the guys, but you picked up what they were putting down. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That is
Well,
cool. Now, when did you start judo? Did you start judo before? And I know it was taekwondo, then was
yeah.
it judo or
Yeah.
Brazilian
So I
jiu-jitsu
started.
then?
So back in, like, 1999, I kind of restarted back doing taekwondo. I had a friend of mine. It was a friend that I was like backing him up in the gym class that day.
Yeah,
He
that's the
started.
same buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
So
Yeah,
he started.
lifelong
Yeah. So
friends,
he
right?
started. Yeah. So he went back to Master Young Shiro in St. Peter's, and he started taking taekwondo. And he calls me. He's like, hey man. He's like, you got to start doing some Taekwondo back with me. He's like, I started taking it. And he's like, you showed me a lot of stuff. And he's like, you should really come up here and train. And I'm like, hey, I might come up there and hang out with you. So I went back in there, started training, trained for like another year or something like that. And then, I had a little bit of a like, disconnect where you kind of go off and do other things or whatever. And then back in like, I want to say it was like 2000, right around 99, 2000, I started training more full time. And actually I was going through a divorce, and it really gave me an awesome outlet
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it was one of those things where I missed my son and I wanted to see him. And it was like, but doing the march, doing the taekwondo at the time allowed me to get through it. It kept my mind right. It kept me out of the bars. It
Yeah.
it it
Yeah.
it I was training like back then. I was training like 4, sometimes 5 days a week. Doing taekwondo. I was really hitting it hard, a couple hours at a time, and but yeah, it was like, and I got my black belt back in 2001 in Sangam Taekwondo,
Okay.
from Rich Steen. The Rich Steen's Black Belt Academy in Troy, Missouri is where I got it from.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just that's just kind of like, that was getting that. It was kind of funny. So when I met Rich, he was like, well, he goes, what are you doing exactly? And I said, about what? He said, with your training. He goes, you've trained all these different things. You've trained boxing, you've trained a little kickboxing, you've trained over here doing some karate from this school, and you've done taekwondo at this school. He goes, why don't you just get a black belt and something, and that'll be a good foundation, a good base for you.
Yeah.
And I
Gotcha.
said, yeah, and I said, okay, that sounds cool. I said, I'll just get it from you. He
Okay.
said, he
Okay. You're
said,
standing
he
there
said,
right
yeah. And he
there.
said, he goes, well, that's fine. He said, but, and then mind you, I'm a blue belt this time. He said, that's fine. He goes, but I don't know if you're quite to our, a blue belt in our system. And I said, that's cool. I'm like, I'll come in, hang out with you, and we'll do it. We'll see where I'm at.
Yeah.
And luckily I came into their school and he let me keep my blue belt on, which was awesome
Yep.
in the ATA system. And, we went on through and trained and got my black belt, and
Awesome.
that really is what started the foundation. And on a side note, what really made me want to do grappling is whenever the guy rushed in on me in
Yeah.
2002, and or somewhere around that time, and
Yeah.
blew my knee out. That's when I knew that I had to learn grappling. I knew that things
Smart.
happen
Yeah.
close quarters combat, and
Yes. Yes.
that's where everything really changed, for me. When you get an injury like that, and you
Yeah.
realize that could have happened on the street, and it could have been a really bad outcome
Oh, it'd have been
where it
done.
would have
You'd have
been
been done.
it'd have been over, man. guy
Yeah.
guy could have killed me. He used,
Yeah. Been
but yeah,
done, man.
I started judo in 2015 with John.
Okay.
I started judo with John in 2015, and what was interesting about this, so I was doing a Muay Thai class, and the Muay Thai was like 6:15 to 7:15. Well, me, I'm like hanging out, I'm like having a good time doing some striking, and I see John come in, and he's like standing outside the cage, and I'm like, hey, I'm like, is there another class getting ready to come on or something? I go, and he goes, yeah. I said, what is it? And he goes, it's judo. And I said, "Man, like tonight?" And he goes, "Yeah, like in like 10 minutes or whatever." I said, "Do you care if I hang out and train with you?" He goes, "No, man." He goes, "I'd be glad to have you." And
Okay.
ever since that day that I met John, we've been friends.
Wow. That's awesome, man. That's good
Yes.
stuff.
And he has shown me judo since 2015, man. Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
He showed the first thing he showed me was like an Asoto Gari, or
Oh, yeah.
the Ponce
Oh, yeah.
Nagi. He shows me a couple of things, and I was hooked, man. And I'm like running around, and I'm telling all my buddies, I'm like, man, I'm like, I know we've been doing jiu-jitsu, and I know they're doing this Muay Thai, but I'm like, you got to check out these throws, man. Like, this is awesome. I'm like,
That's good
this is
stuff, man.
nuts. I'm like, and it's like, I'm like, and I tell my John, I'm like, this dude is throwing me around like I'm a rag doll. Like, he's completely big brother to me.
Oh, yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
yeah. I love that. Big brother to you.
Yeah, it was so cool, man. And and one thing that I really noticed from doing Muay Thai and doing different martial arts, that there's a lot of similarities in Muay Thai and Judo.
Okay.
And it was kind of interesting because I don't know if you heard of the Muay Thai guy. I don't know if you've heard of him at all.
No, I haven't heard who that guy is.
So he's got like an online thing going. Well, anyway, so he had like this like a questionnaire of the week, and it was like, if you submit your question, you get a T-shirt if we use it. And I was noticing a huge similarity and like the Muay Thai dumps and trips and Judo dumps and trips.
Yeah.
And so I sent it in to him and got a T-shirt out of it because
Oh,
he used it on his show and was like, hey, he's like, you don't want to train judo for Muay Thai. However, yes, there are a lot of similarities with the dumps and the trips, and
yeah.
it
Okay. The sweep
really
and all that. Yeah.
the sweeps. And I'm telling you, it
Yeah.
was so cool because doing the judo actually helped out the Muay Thai like a lot with like the
Okay.
dumps and sweeping out the legs and getting in close and doing the like basically on a goshi and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So which
Yeah,
I would ask you this: which one is your favorite? I know they're all great, and I do believe
yeah.
that. I believe so. But which one do you think is your favorite right now?
I mean, man, right now man, that's tough. So
Yeah.
right now it's probably the jujitsu, but it's like I go through phases. Like one minute I'm like really into striking, and I would say like probably the thing that I've enjoyed the most is my buddy Morgan. He teaches a class in Springfield, and they start standing and they end up on the ground doing ground and pound, and that's I
Okay.
would say that I hate to say the word MMA, but like that style where you start standing, you're doing striking into
Yeah.
takedowns or kicks into takedowns. That's probably my favorite style of training right now, and I don't get enough
Yeah.
of it but we kind of been kind of playing around with that. Like we'll just kind of put the gloves on and kind of do some like light striking into takedowns, and then when it goes to the
Yeah.
ground, then we
Yeah.
do some ground
Yeah.
and pound action. That's probably the funnest training that like you could ever, in my mind, you could ever do because it's more real world. You're getting
Yes.
punched, you might be getting kicked, not at 100%, but you're
Yeah.
kind of getting the feel of like you're putting it all together. Yeah, it's like Jeet Kune Do. It's like Bruce Lee. It's like you're you're
Yes.
you're taking the grappling, you're taking the boxing. Because I feel like and I'm not trying to speak out of turn, but it's like if somebody's just a boxer, or you're just a
Yeah.
grappler, or you're just karate, or just taekwondo,
Yeah.
it's like man, there are holes in your game because
Oh, absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
it's like I experienced it firsthand because I mean I was a black belt in Taekwondo and a guy rushed in and takes me down. I get my knee blown out, and it's like,
Exactly.
and when you have something like that happen to you, it changed my life. And I was like, man, you gotta do something different. Like you can train, but you got to find some other areas to train in.
Absolutely. Well, that's true. My original instructor was Sensei Michael Smiley, and that's why I got my Kodokan Jiu-Jitsu, the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, Kodokan
Yeah,
Jiu-Jitsu black
yeah,
belt. And his philosophy was, hey, you find one art that's your foundation, and then you go out and you find other arts because he said every art has holes. You got to
yep.
go out and fill those holes.
And that's really what's cool about I've been very fortunate to train with a guy Michael Perry that did knife and stick fighting.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
basically, yeah, so basically when he would do the collie sticks, we would hit the sticks and and the same movements apply to like a pairing, like a check and a pass or a pass and a
yeah.
check, like in your striking with like boxing. It's the same movements.
Okay.
And yeah, and then like it's an empty-handed art, but yet you can put a blade in your hand, and now you got a blade, or
Yeah.
you got the sticks in your hand, and then the sticks are an extension of your body. So it's like
Wow.
and the bamboo, man, it's so cool. If you've never experienced it, man, when you're clicking sticks, the sticks will actually give you a burning. You actually smell the sticks burning when you hit them back and forth, back and forth,
Wow.
back and
Like
forth.
a
It is.
screamer. Bow, bow.
It is,
Oof.
yeah. It's like pop, 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 and you hear a rhythm. It also
Yeah.
teaches you like in boxing or anything else. There's a rhythm, and when
Yes.
you like what those the instructors always told me, they're like, if you can break someone's rhythm, you can break them. And
Ooh,
man,
that's
I'm
good.
telling you, it's
That's a
deep,
nugget right
dude.
there, man.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's like
That's
if
cool.
you like, I feel like when you watch the UFC, and you'll see some of the high, the highest of the high, the elite guys, is you'll see them, and there's like somebody's got like a set they're doing, and then if they
Yes.
break that set, now they've created an opening. They got them off balance. They got them off Kazushi,
Yeah.
and then they go in and they
Yes.
they go for the kill.
Oh, yeah. I love that. Now, you do shooting also, right? You're into guns
Yeah,
also.
so I love tactical shooting. I love going
Yeah.
out and just shooting 500 rounds at a time.
Yeah.
And just
I'm an ammo whore, man. I do the same
oh, me
thing, man.
too,
Excuse
man.
my
I
French.
love, yeah. Oh, yeah. I love. There's not to me. There's nothing better, and it's therapy. I love
Yeah.
setting up the targets and just speed loading the mags and just firing
Yes.
rounds out, dropping the mags, reloading, and just seeing how many rounds I can put down range. It is just an
Yes.
awesome thing, man. I love it. I enjoy it. Um,
That's cool.
yeah, I
That's
love.
cool.
Yeah, I mean, my I think my favorite round is 9 mil, just because it's cheap.
Yep.
you know,
Yep. It's cheap. Everybody has it.
it's
You can play with it.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. You can plink with it, and
Yep.
I try to shoot. Like we'll do like drills. You draw and you fire, and after the well, actually, what really drove me to get better with like the hand to hand close quarters combat and stuff
Mhm.
like that is that we were actually involved in a home invasion in 2017.
Oh, man.
And basically, what was so weird because my wife, she would for like probably 3 months. Looking back on it, 3 months prior to the night in October 2017,
Yeah.
my wife had been waking me up in the middle of the night, and she kept saying, "Hey, I think I hear something outside." She'd wake me up and shake me and hey, look out the window. I think there's somebody out there. Of course, I would.
Yeah.
It's like the middle of the night. I get up, I'm looking out the window, and I'm like, "There's nothing out there. Like, go back to bed. It's just the wind.
Yeah.
Like it's good."
Yeah.
Well, on this particular night, when she woke me up, but she was in my ear and she was whispering. She was like, "Get up, get up,"
Wow.
and she's like in my ear, something registers weird when your wife is like, "Hey, get up,"
Whispering
but
like
she's
that.
not. She's
Yeah.
whispering like that. You're like, something's not right. So my mind was already
Yeah.
going, something's going on here. Something's weird. So I'm like, what? So she's like, I hear something, and she's still whispering, and I'm like, okay, she really hears
Wow.
something because she's whispering. We're inside the house. So
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like, okay. I'm like, well, it's probably nothing. So I throw the cover off. I step over the bed and I started to look out the back window. And when I did, I saw a flashlight go back and forth across the window, and I froze. I was like, oh
Oh,
no,
wow.
there's somebody
Wow.
out there. About 10 to 15 seconds later, probably not even that long, I just hear a loud boom. And I thought
Wow.
someone had actually blown out our basement window with a shotgun. That's how loud it was.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yes. So I immediately ran over. I locked our door, shut the fan off in our bedroom, grabbed my 45 that was next to the nightstand at the time, picked it
Yeah.
up, secured the area, dialed 911, told them, "Hey, what just heard somebody, someone's like shot out our basement window." Well, I'm on the phone with the 911. My wife's on the phone with 911. It seemed like forever and a day for them to get there. Well, this
Yeah.
guy, we lived in about a 1,400 square foot house at the time. This guy was just going through the basement, just rummaging through stuff.
Wow.
And eventually the police got to the front door and they said, "Hey, put your firearm down." And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "We
Oh,
can hear this guy in our basement. Like
yeah.
somebody actively in our house. I'm not putting anything down." I'm like, you
Exactly.
know,
Oh, man.
so they said, okay, so they said, "We're at your front door. Come let us in." So the hardest thing I had to do, and talk about taking a step, I had to open up my bedroom door, leave
Yeah.
my wife, and go down a hallway. And at the hallway, there was to the left went to the basement, and to the right went to the front door. And I know this
Wow.
guy's in the basement. I know he's down there. I can
Yeah.
hear him. So the weirdest thing was, so as I get ready to walk out the door, my wife says, "I can hear him coming up the stairs. I can hear him come up the stairs." And I'm like,
Ooh.
turn down the hallway, flip the light switch on. And I think it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. When I flipped the
Yeah.
light switch on, I think the light must have shined back down to the stairs.
Yeah.
Thank God he retreated back downstairs.
Oof,
And
man.
I went to the front door, unlocked the door for the police. They go, "You're back." They go, "Your basement window's been blown out." And I said, "I know."
That's
Guys
what I told you
downstairs.
guys.
Yeah. And they go, "How do we get down there?" I just pointed. I go, "That way." I'm not going
Yeah.
down there. I'm like, "That way."
Exactly.
So anyway, so they go down the stairs, and he's standing, the one police guy, the police officer, he's standing at the bottom of the stairs, and he's like radioing, and I looked down at him. I'm like, "What are you guys gonna do?" He
Yeah.
goes, "Hey," he goes, "Do you have any firearms down here?" And I said, "Yeah, there's an AR down there." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "I'm pretty sure he's found it and loaded it." At
Oh my
that second,
gosh.
I ran back to the bedroom. I grabbed my wife. I said, "We got to get out of the house."
Yeah.
And she said, "Okay." And I don't know how I was able to grab her, and I grabbed the keys to a car, or one of our cars we had there. I got her out of the house. We jumped in the car. drove down the, like, not even a block. We lived on a dead end street. Turned around at the
Wow.
stop sign, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I got to make sure that whoever's in this house does not get out. I got to make sure
Wow.
that we got to see who this is." And she goes, "You're crazy." And I said, "No, I got to make sure, because at
Yes.
this point the police came in and we went out." So we're
Right,
sitting
right.
there, we're looking at, yeah, we're sitting there, we're looking at the house. All of a sudden I see the police running out of the house, and they're all taking cover. This is like a movie happening. I'm not kidding you.
Holy
They're taking
cow.
cover. Within probably 10 seconds, the guy that broke in the house, he comes out and he is firing an AR from the hip
Wow.
out of the
Just
house,
blasting.
blasting,
My
pop, pop,
God.
pop, pop, pop. So there's like 15 to 20 police officers. They return fire at him, shoot up the house, shoot up the
Oh
cars.
my gosh.
This is no joke. This dude gets shot in the abdomen, drops. He was so high that he followed the sidewalk, and it was harder for them to shoot him because he
Right.
ran out and the sidewalk went like made like a Z. So, and then
Yeah.
he went to the driveway, and I don't even know who shot him, but one of them shot him. He dropped, and I don't know how. I mean, how these guys had the restraint not to just keep on firing to completely
Yeah.
annihilate this guy. When he dropped, this all the fire stopped, like the ceasefire, like it was like
Wow.
stop. They ran up, got him, subdued him, and when they put him in the ambulance, my wife's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I gotta identify this guy. I cannot.
Right.
I gotta see who this is. This is crazy." So I ran.
Yeah.
I'm like walking up there, and I see this guy. I'm like, "Well, you don't look familiar." I'm like, "What the hell's going on?"
Yeah.
So anyway, so after all this had taken place, and the guy was on, like, we had to like I had to like testify, and it was good that I saw him in the ambulance, because whenever I was they said one of us had to testify, I
Yeah.
identified him in the courtroom that he was in our house. Case closed. That was it.
Good.
Like,
Good. Praise God.
yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, because
Man.
otherwise they could say, "Hey, whatever, you sure he was in the," like, how the defense
Yeah.
does or
Wrong
whatever.
guy. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I said, "No." I said, they said, because one of the attorneys was like, or I guess like the, oh, I can't think what I'm trying to say, but he was like, "Hey, did you allow anybody in this room to come in your house, or whoever was here?" And I'm like, I said, "No." I said, "That guy is the one that broke into our house. That's him. I identified him."
Yeah.
Like, in the courtroom, and it
Yeah.
was like, that was it. But the
Wow.
crazy part of the story is, and this is where it gets really interesting, is that so a lot of the police officers that were in that night, they came over to the house to like have like closure, because it was so
Yes.
traumatic to everybody.
Yeah.
And like the EMT and one of the police officers that came over, and he went through the house, and we talked, and he said, the craziest part about this guy is that he told the EMT that he was on a suicide mission and he wanted to die. So
What?
yes. So you got a person who's
Wow.
broke into your house. He's wanting to die. He's on a
Yeah.
suicide mission, and you're just trying to keep you and your family safe. We're not trying to kill
Wow.
him, but he's on a
Exactly.
suicide mission. He told this to the EMT. I was on a suicide mission. I just want to die.
Oh my
So
gosh.
when you think about that, like, it changed the way I looked at everything. It changed the way I do martial arts training.
Yeah.
It changed the way that I get in my car. It changed the way that everything that I do, because everything that you do, you're thinking, okay, what if?
Right.
Am I
Right.
prepared? And and I love shooting guns, and I love this kind of stuff, but it's like
Yeah.
the guys that have all the tactical lights that are taped on with like 3M
Yeah.
tape and all this stuff,
Yeah. I know. I
like
know those
like
guys. Some of those
like that's
guys.
not real, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're that's not what's gonna happen. Like,
Right.
you're not gonna
Right.
have lasers and flashlights and all this kind of stuff, man. Like, you're
Stealthing
not
through
gonna
the
put on your
house,
night
pointing at the
vision.
guy.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Right.
like you're not gonna go put on night vision and like set tripwires. Like, this
Right.
is not a real thing. Like, this is how it's gonna happen.
Exactly. Chaos,
You
man.
know?
Exactly.
Yeah, it is straight chaos. And
Wow.
I feel like the doing training them in the martial arts allowed me to have critical thinking in that
Yeah.
time, and able to keep my wife safe, keep myself safe, because that could have turned out so many different ways. And
Oh
and
my
when
gosh. Yeah.
I mean, God was with us. I mean, there's no question about
Absolutely.
that. I mean, he was with us, man. He was watching over us, because you don't have
Absolutely.
that many rounds fired and only one person gets shot, and it's the
Right?
criminal that gets dropped, and he doesn't even die. Like that's what was so
Wow.
crazy. Like he got
Oh
shot.
my
I mean,
gosh.
and this is what's so crazy. One of the police officers had just got out of the military, so he had like he was equipped with an AR, had the full
Yeah.
gear, and he had a like a bleed out kit on him. So he's the one that stuffed that into the wound and kept the
And
guy from
save that
bleeding out.
guy.
He saved the
Yes.
guy's life. Like,
Wow. Everything happens for a
you know,
reason, man.
yeah.
That's crazy,
And
man.
the best part about it is that he got 45 years. And
45 years. Yeah.
45 years
Yeah.
he got for doing that. And
Yeah.
but like I said, the prosecutors and stuff, it's like they're wanting somebody to testify, and I'm like, I'll identify that guy in 2 seconds. I'm
In
I'm
a
not.
heartbeat.
Yeah, I'm like, he's not getting away with this.
Exactly. It could have been horrible the other way.
Well, yeah,
Wow.
you think about if we would have made a bunch of noise in the house and not been
Yes.
vigilant and on par.
Yes.
The
Yes.
guy could have came right upstairs because he was high. He actually shot up in the basement. He had a drug kit with him, and once
What?
he broke in, yeah, he actually shot up in the basement. We found out later on with talking, he actually shot up. So you got a guy who's completely high. He's on a
Yeah.
suicide mission, and you're just trying to protect your family. You're trying to
Man.
protect yourself and your wife, and you got a kamikaze.
Right? Oh, hell could have broke
Yeah.
loose the other way.
That's what I'm saying.
Wow,
That's what I
man.
that's what I try to tell people, and a lot of people, I
Yeah.
will tell you, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, I would have went downstairs and
Yeah,
I would have shot that
okay.
guy." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, when it happens to you, then you can prove me wrong."
That's right.
Because
That's
I
right.
don't
You prove me wrong.
because
Exactly.
I don't because I always tell people, I'm like, I don't think you'll do that. I said because
No.
I've been through it, and that's why I say that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, people will talk about, well, if when I train, I would do this to somebody, and I said, you know what, you won't know what you're gonna
Hmm.
do until it happens to you.
Until it happens. You got the adrenaline flowing. You got this guy trying to
Yeah.
shoot at you or kill you. You don't know. Everything gets diminished in that time
Yeah,
frame. Yes.
there's so many dynamics that are into
Yeah.
play, and and fine gross motor skills, and your larger gross motor skills. I mean, those
Oh
things
yeah.
all take an effect, and
Yeah.
a lot of people, they can't pump a shotgun, they can't do certain things, and it's
Yeah.
like, for
Yeah.
me, I remember you know at an angle of the door, and my wife was behind me, and I got my 45 angle, facing towards the door. So if he would have came through, I had the shot on
Yeah.
him for sure, 100%.
Right.
And I
Right.
and I held that position, and I remember having this, like, checking the safety because I had so much adrenaline that I set the
Hmm.
safety on the gun, and I just squeezed it as hard as I possibly could just to get that
Wow.
adrenaline out because it was so intense.
Holy cow, man.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like,
Wow.
oh my God, you just squeeze it. I'm like, all right, take it back off. You got to refocus. You got to refocus because this
Yes.
guy can
That's
come
what
through
you were
this
saying.
door, and you've
Wow.
got to take care of business. You cannot, like, when I say it was a line in the sand, that
Yeah.
doorway was the line in the sand. He could not cross without
Cross it. That's right.
consequences.
That's right, man. But it takes a strong mental capacity to go through that and to realize, okay, this is what I can do and this is what I'm going to do. You feel
Yes,
me? That's
yes.
pretty cool. You weren't trying to be a hero and run down the stairs with the guy and do all the other stuff. You were protecting your wife. Man,
And the thing
that's
of it
oof.
is, I mean, looking back on it now, and John and I've talked about it, and my buddy Mike Morgan and stuff, we've talked about it at length. If I would have went downstairs, I wouldn't be here. And even the police, we talked about it. My buddies, it's like, had I or anyone walked down those stairs and turned that corner, he would have had the draw on you. Like, you would have got
Yeah.
shot. I mean, there's
Yeah.
there's no way that you. I mean, I did not that I can tell anyway. You know what I'm
Yeah, well, I
saying?
get you. Yeah. I understand.
There's probably some guys out
Man.
there that probably could pull it off, some seals or something like that, but not myself.
Yeah, that's a whole different ball game, man. But you were
Yeah.
down there. But I love the way you're talking about this. You're understanding the background of the mindset going through that process and
Yep.
realizing, even though you had a lot of training, what's actually going to happen in that situation. And it's almost the same thing as you talk to guys out there in the combat sports who's never been in a real fight, and they think
Yep.
it's going to happen this way and that way. But no, once the adrenaline grows and everything, a lot of that goes, your skill set drops.
It
dramatically.
does. It's I mean, Conor McGregor was the best at that. You know, you look at
Yeah.
him like fighting Jose Aldo. I mean, Jose Aldo was not himself. You
Yeah.
know, he beat these guys up so bad and got them so emotionally
Yes.
spent that they didn't have any physical energy because Joel says it all the time. Joel Steen, and I take this from him. He's like, you only got so much physical and mental energy each day. If you
Yes.
allow people to take away your either your physical or emotional energy, you're drained, and you gotta guard it. You gotta keep
Yes.
it. You gotta watch that, and that's one thing that
Yes.
I feel like Conor McGregor was so good at is he stole people's energy, man.
Yeah, he did, man, big time. As much as I didn't like his brassness and all that stuff,
Yeah,
the guy knew what he was doing. The
he
guy
did.
was
He
good, man.
did. He did mental warfare with them, man. He
Yeah.
drove them absolutely crazy, and they just weren't their self when they went to fight the guy. I mean,
Yeah.
they looked
Yeah.
like I'm like, man, I think I could have done better than that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We
Like,
all say that on the sidelines.
yeah, exactly. Don't come after me, Conor McGregor. I was just joking, but
Yeah, right. That's
don't murder
right.
me.
Right?
But you know what
Oh,
I'm saying?
man.
It's like you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is, man.
Yeah, and there's so many like when I've trained with a couple guys like like Ray Amanat and stuff, he would always talk
Yeah.
about, okay, so depending on where you're at, maybe you're barefooted, maybe there's glass on the
Mm.
ground, maybe it's
Yep.
gravel, maybe it's
Yeah.
snowed outside, it's wet. All those things are going to change your ability to defend yourself or defend your family.
Absolutely.
And it's we did some training with Asymmetrical in Farmington, and those
Okay.
guys they did some stuff with us, and we did some room clearing and
Yes, I
different
love that.
things.
Yeah.
And man, I'm telling you, it's another level. Like people don't even
Absolutely.
realize what it takes to going into simply breaching a door.
Oh,
It's not a race. Let's put it that way.
exactly. Exactly. No one wants to be the first one through that door. You
No,
know?
no, man. It's crazy, and it was so weird. We're just doing drills. We didn't even. I mean, we had guns with no ammo, but it's like we're just trying to get through the door, and it's like we know there's no one on the other side,
That's
but the
gonna kill
thought that there
you.
could be, you're like, I don't
Yeah.
want to go through, man. Like somebody
I
just
know.
got my cover, man. I'm not going through there.
I know, brother. It's the same thing. I go shooting quite a bit, and I have a private membership at this one range, Alpha. I'll throw them out there, Alpha Range.
Yeah.
And no lanes. It's just an open warehouse. You set it up any kind of way you want, right?
Oh, that's cool.
So I love bringing guys with me, and I'll set the lanes up first. I mean, I'll set the targets just there. You stand here, and
Yep.
these guys, oh, that's easy. They're shooting fired up. It's okay. Now let's set the rooms up. Let's set the barrels and everything up. You should see their
Yes.
skill set just drops just from that.
It's
Walking around a
it's
barrel and stick your head out and firing. It's crazy.
That or just firing off of barricades. I mean, that's like a whole nother
Yes.
thing too. Like I'll do that. Like I'll even at the range, I'll just kind of like get on a side or kind of get on that like a barricade and just like
Yes.
that kind of peek out,
Yep.
hit
And
two and
fire
then
from
come
around
back.
there.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
But it's good you train that way. You have to, you know what I mean? Because I go to different ranges sometimes and go to buddies and stuff, but they all have the standing in the style, the standing lane and shoot down range.
Yep.
Ah, I'm like, it's cool to do that every now and then, but you got to have a place where you can move around and try to make it as realistic as you can.
Well,
You know?
it's interesting you say that because one of the drills that we did was we were only I don't know we were probably like 15 to 20 yards from the target, and
Yeah.
we had our like our like I got a scar and a scar 16s, and I had my scar and had it set up,
Nice.
and it's like
Nice.
you just basically you were walking towards a target, and you had to like I think it was like you take two shots and then you took like two or three steps. Oh no, no, it was. So we were walking. The guy's behind you. He's got his hand on your back. You're walking, and he's like, "Okay, when I tell you to fire, you fire two shots, and then you'll keep walking, and you fire two shots, but you can't stop." Man, I was all over the place.
Okay.
Like I
Yeah.
was, I was like 6 inches high one minute, then I was like 4 or 5 down to the right, then I was off the target, and we
Yeah.
were like 15 yards away. I'm like, "This is crazy," but it was like
Oh,
getting
yeah.
that momentum of like walking heel to toe, and moving it
Yes.
on the target
Yes.
and being consistent. And it was like, and something so simple. The first time I did it, I was like all over the place. And I'm like,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
It's right there.
It's right
Target's
there. I'm like,
right
how am
there.
I not hitting? It's like, man, I can set up, like you said, I can be stationary and I can hit something at 250 yards. I'm like,
All
yeah, hit
day
the gong,
long.
yeah. It's like now all of a sudden I gotta walk towards a target and I can't how do I hit it?
You're not even running. You're walking towards it and you're off.
Yeah.
I get it, brother. I'm the same. I'm like, holy
I
cow,
was
man.
like, oh man.
Brother, this has been awesome, man. See, I'm getting all fired up, man, just
Uh,
talking to you about guns and everything else, man.
I was gonna say, man, we're gonna have to hook up and do some shooting. I feel like
Or
it.
something, brother. I'm telling you, that's one of my favorite pastimes, brother.
Yep.
Man, listen, Mike, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know you're a busy man out there, as everyone can hear all the stuff you're doing. I appreciate you taking the time to come out here, man. But before we go, give me some of your information out there, some of your contact information. Give everybody some of that stuff where they can find you out there and train with you if they want or come to your schools. Give me some
Yeah.
of your
So
social media stuff. They can reach you.
yeah. So I was just gonna say I am. Geez, I was gonna say I wasn't ready for that one.
I know,
I'm like, yeah, like where am I gonna like what? So like my cell phone, somebody can just call me,
Yeah.
573-760-5802. They can reach me at that, or my email is mikeerp 1973 at gmail.com. You can email me, you can call me. I
Cool.
love to train with people and hook up, and I like I said, Mike Morgan is one of my old friends here that I've been training with
Yeah.
for a long time. He's on Springfield. He owns a lot of the TR fitnesses and stuff, and that's where a lot of the gyms that he has are inside those.
Nice.
And like I said,
Nice.
man, and we train it with John Reed, doing judo, a little 10th Planet in Festus, Crystal City.
Nice.
Eric Langer, he's an amazing dude. He allows me to, come in there and train with them. The guys are awesome, and they're always good to roll with and train with and drill with. Like I said, I've been very fortunate to, like with John, training with John Reed and
Yeah.
Mike Morgan and Eric Langer, and I
You're
just
some
been
monsters, man. That's
yeah,
awesome. Some
yeah,
beasts,
and
man.
yeah. I mean, it's just I just been very very fortunate to train with those guys, and I was trying to think. I kept drawing a blank. One of my buddies we trained with.
That's,
I'm,
that's all right,
I'm
brother.
like,
He'll choke you for forgetting his name.
yeah, yeah. I'm
But
sitting there. I'm
man,
like, I'm drawing a blank, man. I'm like, mine's fried, dude, from like the whole day.
hey, that's okay, brother. I appreciate it. And plus, you got to use your age. I'm getting old, so I don't remember
Oh,
everything. We got to go
exactly.
with
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, Scott Bruckerhoff. That I was like drawing this. My buddies. So it's like basically when we do judo. So
Awesome.
Scott and John are my two guys that beat the hell out of me that I just love. You know what I'm saying? They
I get
throw
it,
me
brother.
around. They big brother me, man. And I appreciate them so much teaching me judo and like I said, Mike Morgan. I mean, he's taught me so much in jiu-jitsu and just
That's
training
cool,
and
man.
striking and takedowns. Like I said, man, you know he's just been so much of a person where I admire and want to
Yeah,
be like. And like I said, I just been very fortunate to have met all these guys. And
that's awesome. Awesome, man. That's cool, man. Guys, listen up. He gave you a phone number. He gave you his email. He gave you a place to reach him out there and train with him. Go train with this guy. I think you guys will have a lot of fun. At least get beat up a little bit, right?
hell
All
yeah.
right, brother. Mike, I appreciate you more than you know, brother. And we'll do this again. We got to have a part two, and we'll talk soon.
Hey, thanks a million. I appreciate you having me on, man.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself.
You too.
All right, brother. Bye.
Oh, man.